Okay, to the phones we go to Lincoln, Nebraska. This is Chris. Great to have you, sir. You're up first. Welcome to the EIB Network. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, sir. Thank you for calling.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Anyway, what I was questioning, or asked a question to you, is do you think the anti-gun left will come full circle to pro-gun after this Ferguson and Baltimore incidents? I'm not saying that those are justifications for, but the Second Amendment's there to protect against
why would the left
and our own government our own government.
Why would you think the left would all of a sudden become pro-gun after these two incidents?
I don't think they necessarily would. I just wonder if they would see the light, though.
Here, look. That's a good question. It's Open Line Friday. I'm open to anything. Here, what you have to understand there, Chris, when you hear the left go onto their anti-gun screed, they mean for you. They're always going to be armed, Chris. They don't need to see Ferguson. I mean, Baltimore is a liberal city, and the cops, and I guarantee you there's all kinds of people there that you think are against Second Amendment are armed that have guns. The liberals are an elite class system. They make rules for everybody else that they exempt themselves from. So whereby they might do their best to wipe out the Second Amendment, but they are important people, and they are responsible people, and they will have guns. I'm not talking about the rank and file. I'm not talking about, liberal citizen who lives on Main Street. I'm talking about elite liberals, rich liberals. Liberals in government, liberals in leadership, they're always going to have their guns. They're always going to be armed. They don't want you to be. There's no reason. Their minds don't need to be made right on this. There's nothing they can learn here that would result in them changing their minds. And you know what the root of this question is? And I've gotten this question for 25 years. Rush, when is the media going to start being fair with us? When is the media going to start telling the truth about it? Never. Try never. The Democrat Party media never is. That's why there is alternative media now. They're never going to understand the truth. There's nothing that could happen that could make them see the light, that the people they have been supporting all of their lives are wrong and dangerous. And conversely, every conservative that they've hated and reviled is all of a sudden right. And then here they come apologizing for all these years of getting it wrong about never going to happen. So the root of the question is, okay, you got these anti-gun libs. Yeah. Now they get hold of the police departments and they find out they can't control the bad guys without guns. They're going to see the light. They already know that. They're going to have their guns, Chris. It's you they want to take them away from. There's nothing they need to learn. There's nothing they can learn. They don't think they're wrong about anything. And there's no event, particularly in an event like Ferguson or Baltimore, there's nothing in these stories that could happen that would make your average, ordinary liberal go, oh, my God, I've had it wrong all my life. Never going to happen. If you're waiting for that to happen, missing the point. These people are, in the political sense now, to be defeated. That's why I say it's a mistake, and it's being demonstrated more and more than ever before now. It's a mistake to go on drive-by media as a conservative to try to get them to understand. They don't want to understand. They don't think they're wrong. There's nothing a Republican presidential candidate could say to George Stephanopoulos or Charlie Rose or any of them to make them change their mind. Nothing. It isn't going to happen. That's not why they invite them there. They don't invite Republicans on these shows because they really care what they think. They invite them on these shows to expose them. Can I give you an example? Let me jump forward here, find the sound bites. Ted Cruz went on Mark Halperin's show. On that, whatever it's called. I don't know what these numbers are. Waste all this time looking for it. I still can't find it, and I just saw it. Let's see, what is it? Oh, yeah, the page is stuck together. Let me just give you an example here. I'm not going to have time to get through all these. Bloomberg TV, all due respect. Mark Halperin, John Heilemann, liberal co-host. There's Ted Cruz talking about his background. They are assaulting Cruz on whether he's an authentic Hispanic. Now listen to this.
People are really interested in you and your identity. So I just want to ask you as a historical matter, when you filled out your application to Princeton, to Harvard Law School, did you list yourself as an Hispanic?
Oh, sure. I've listed myself as Cuban American. That's my heritage and my background.
Right. Okay. Here's the next one. Listen to this.
Talk a little bit more about your Cuban heritage and ask you in the following categories whether you have an affinity for or a connection to anything part of your Cuban past. You got a favorite Cuban food, Cuban dish?
Oh, I grew up eating Cuban food all the time.
What's your
my
favorite
grandparents,
dish?
picadillo. I grew up eating all the time. We had plantains. We had beans and rice. For Christmas, we would roast a whole pig a lot of years for Christmas Eve. And so my grandparents, my abuelo and abuela, they didn't speak English.
See what this is? He's not an authentic Hispanic. He's a conservative. He's a fake. He's a phony. What is your favorite Cuban dish? This is. It's pointless here. This is insulting. This is demeaning. It's racist and it's disgusting. And here's the last one.
Do you have a favorite Cuban singer?
You know, I have to admit, in that I'm much more of a Texan. I tend to listen to country music more than Cuban music.
Finally, we wanted to give you the opportunity to directly welcome your colleague, Senator Sanders, to the race, and I'd like you to do it, if you would, en español.
I'm going to stick to English, but I appreciate the invitation, senor.
So you can't even speak English, eh? You can't even speak Spanish, right? You called yourself an Hispanic? The whole point of this was to expose Ted Cruz as a fraud. That he's not a Hispanic. The whole point of this interview was to say that liberals and Hispanics, don't buy this Cruz guy as one of you. He can't even speak your language. What is this? He doesn't have a favorite Cuban singer. He can't even answer these questions about basic life in Cuba. That's what this is all about. They didn't care what Ted Cruz really thinks about issues. They don't give a rat's rear end about Ted Cruz and his policy. The whole reason Ted Cruz was invited there was to expose him or present him as an unqualified fraud and faker. So the idea that the libs are going to get their minds right on gun control or conservatism ain't going to happen, folks. Back after this. Sit with us.